Welcome to the Otter African Trail Run 2020. This is the race briefing. So in a very, very short space of time, you're going to be actually running along one of the most pristine coasts in the world. We cannot wait to get started. But before we do, we've got some very, very important information that you need to take note of in this race briefing to get you safely to the finish line. So for many of you, this will be your first Otter African Trail Run, and for many of you it may even be your first big trail run. Hopefully not your first trail run at all. Just to explain the difference between this and other events, the Otter African Trail Run is a trail run, as the name suggests, and trail running differs from conventional running events in that it takes place on a trail. Obviously on a trail you have a number of differences to running on the road. The first being that the trail is actually uneven, and in some trails like the Otter, very, very uneven. You'll be running over slippery rocks, loose boulders, close to big drop-offs, the edge of big drop-offs. There'll be vegetation that you have to navigate through, and this makes trail running a very, very different sport to running on the road and requiring different set of skills and different ability. It also changes the risk that you accept as part of your conditions to entry, in that you are obviously more likely to fall. If you do fall and slip, you are more likely to get injured as well. The other big significant difference between trail running and road running is accessibility. So the Otter African Trail Run is not accessible to vehicles at any point, and this changes the way that we can back you up if you need assistance. We can only access you by foot, helicopter, or in certain very good sea conditions by boat, if we need to provide assistance of any form to you. So this means that if we do need to come to you, your assistance at any stage, or any of the participants' assistance at any stage, there will be a significantly longer delay in rendering that assistance. COVID-19 compliance. Just a quick note that any interactions with our crew, with other participants, with the sandparks officials, please, the wearing of a mask is mandatory. When you enter any of the buildings, event registration, or any of the demarcated areas, you will be required to sanitize your hands and observe a safe social distance of at least 1.5. There's so much space in the park, you can actually make that 2 meters wherever you go. Let's make this event a completely safe and healthy event for every single participant, and it's not onerous. It's actually very, very easy. You must have a mask with you at all times. You do not have to run with a mask, and when you're walking around in the open areas of the park, we do not expect you to wear a mask. However, what a mask does is it provides you with a little bit of protection, but it provides the people around you with a lot of protection in case you are one of the people that unknowingly is carrying this virus. So please, when in interactions, make sure that you are wearing the mask. As you know, this is a retro year. So in other words, we run from Nature's Valley to Storms River, from west to east. Okay, that means that the whole event is based at the Storms River campsite. So you need to travel to the Storms River campsite. This is roughly the equivalent distance between George and from Port Elizabeth to the event. So it's the same either way. You turn off the N2 and you arrive at the gate. In the last newsletter, we provided links to some forms that you can download. You must please download, print out, and arrive with these forms filled out to expedite this whole gate entry process. If you haven't done that, we're going to ask you please to park aside, fill out those forms, and allow the other participants to use the Otter Express lane. We will have a crew there trying to make this process as simple as possible. There is obviously a COVID screening process as well that you will have to undergo to enter the gate. Once you've entered the gate, proceed down to registration, follow the signage, and you will get to the registration hub. At the registration, you will be given your event timing chip, your race bib, any of the event apparel that you may have ordered in advance, the keys to your accommodation, and as well as undergoing equipment check. And this is where we check your equipment up to the levels, level 1, 2, and 3, depending on the weather alert level. From registration, once you've completed that process, you may do the prologue at any time between 10:30 and 4:30 in the afternoon. Those are the prologue hours, 10:30 to 4:30. So the prologues start is about 1.5 kilometers direct distance from registration towards the eastern end of the Storms River campsite. So you follow the main road back, you'll find the trailhead clearly marked, very close to the restaurant complex, just before the restaurant complex, and then you follow that trail for 300 meters to a beautiful viewing platform, and that is where the prologue starts. When you arrive there, you will be grouped in about groups of 3 or 4 people and briefed in those groups, and then set off at your leisure. You may run the prologue more than once if you're not happy with your time. The prologue then finishes right close to registration on the other end of the Storms River campsite, and it is a 4-kilometer route with approximately 200 meters of climbing involved. So it's very important to note that your seeding, in other words the order that you are started with on the main race the following morning, is according to your prologue ranking. So you will be set off according to that order in that you finish. It's very important to take note of the Abangeni rule, especially for the top participants. So the top 24 men and the top 16 women are started in one batch, 10 minutes in advance of the rest of the batches being sent off. And these are the guys that are only guys and girls that are eligible for prize money at the event. The finishing order of the Otter is according to the order in which you cross the finish line. So if somebody outside of the Abangeni does cross the finish line ahead of people within the Abangeni, they are ranked according to that order. But the prize money or any incentives are only applicable to this Abangeni group. So the Otter is very much about running an honest prologue and running the actual Otter event. After the Abangeni, there's a 10-minute delay, and the rest of the participants are set off in batches of 4 people every 30 seconds, according to your CD. And that spreads the field out very nicely. It makes for a much more pleasant run, and it also coincidentally makes the event COVID compliant up to level 3, and we're now at level 1. So as there is no live race briefing this year, the only information that is released on the evening of the race is the Abangeni, who qualified for the Abangeni, and the start order, as well as the weather alert level. So please make sure that you get that information. It will be released on the app and via social media. There will also be obviously sheets with your start order at the race start. The race organizers, we provide shuttle service to transport you to the race. You are welcome to travel in your own vehicle and be dropped off at Nature's Valley at the start. You are welcome to do that as well. The shuttles leave from 5 o'clock outside the event hub on the challenge day, and on the run day, the Saturday, they leave at 6 o'clock. It takes approximately 45 minutes to travel from Storms River via the N2 to Nature's Valley. Please take note, you do have to pass through the toll road on the way. Just directly after the toll road, you take the turn, the fly off immediately down to Nature's Valley, and they ask you please to be very careful of wild animals on the road, especially on when it's still dark. You do get bush pig and leopard on that road, and we would hate to have any animals injured or killed because of this event. The actual start is on the beach right at the western end of Nature's Valley. It's very easy to find. You can't miss it. The shuttles will be making a toilet stop at the Defusselet campsite prior to reaching the race start. The race start takes place on the beach. You will arrive there. The Abangeni will be called separately. You will be called by your name. There will be lists with the starting order of all the rest of the participants. So we'll set the Abangeni off. The final briefing takes place 15 minutes before the start. So the start is at 6 o'clock on the challenge day and 7 o'clock on the race day. So 6 o'clock on the Thursday and 7 o'clock on the Saturday. Please observe there's plenty of space on the beach, so please observe those social distancing of 2 meters between participants. Do not crowd. You'll be set off along this beautiful expansive beach and head off onto the Otter Trail according to your ranking from the prologue. Now, as this event runs twice, 2 different events, the Wednesday, Thursday and the Friday, Saturday events, remember that the big difference between the events is the cutoff times. So the Wednesday, Thursday event, the actual event on Thursday has an 11-hour cutoff time. We actually cut people off the course based on a 12-hour time. but it has an 11-hour cutoff time. As such, that event starts an hour earlier. There are 4 compulsory cut-offs along the route. This is a very important part of the race management to make sure that our field does not get strung out too far. And the cut-offs this year have been more generously allocated than ever before in the history of the event, as a concession to this very abnormal year where a lot of participants haven't been able to get the training that they would normally get in. Having said that, the cut-offs are strictly enforced. They are enforced based on the last start and not on the time of day as per your printed event manual or the newsletter. They are based on the last start. So the last start gets communicated to the field director, who communicates those cut-off times to the marshals in the field, and no one is cut from this course without the permission of the field director. It is absolutely heartbreaking to be cut from the course, but bear in mind it does have a big knock-on effect to the way this event is managed. So the BLOUKRANS crossing is one of the aspects of the Otter African Trail Run that makes it absolutely iconic. It is one of the most anticipated parts of the event, and for many people a highlight of the event, and it always delivers adventure. The BLOUKRANS crossing is managed by a highly skilled group of individuals, rope access qualified, swift water qualified, sea rescue volunteers, as well as elite members of the Woodridge Life Saving Club, and they will safely get you across there. It is very important that you obey the instructions. They manage the event as per the conditions. So depending on what the conditions are, they will adjust how you actually cross the BLOUKRANS River. Bearing in mind that this time you are jumping in from the sharp rocky bits on the one side, swimming across to the pebbly beach on the other side. The Bayport Otterly Mad competition takes place at the most Otterly Mad part of the actual Otter Trail, which is the entrance to the BLOUKRANS River. So when you see the Bayport branding, as you enter the river, we want you to do something special that will catch the attention of the cameraman on the other side of the river, and you must look at him and do something that symbolizes the exhilaration that you feel entering the BLOUKRANS, the exhilaration you feel of actually participating in the event finally this year, and all the emotions that you feel about getting out into this magnificent trail. And the winners will be judged later that evening to the attending crowd. The top 10 will be sorted out, and the one that gets the most applause will be the winner of the Bayport cash prize. First of all, we highly recommend that you carry at least a minimum of 1.5 liters of water with you to start the event. The first water that you will be available to you is at Andre Hut, which for most participants is between 45 minutes and an hour and a half into the actual event. All of the huts do have water. They have taps where you can drink, and that water is perfectly safe to drink. A lot of participants choose to supplement this by drinking from the streams. We highly recommend that if you are drinking from the streams, that you purify that water. So you must take purification tablets or drops with you if you intend drinking from the streams. It's very important to note that there is no water, or rather no drinking water at BLOUKRANS. There's a lot of salt water there. There's no drinking water there. So the next tap is at Oakhurst at the Munchie Point at approximately halfway. The nice thing about the retro is water gets more plentiful in the second half of the event when you are more dehydrated. So there is a lot of water in the second half of the event. The Munchie Point is one of the highlights for participants to reach the Munchie Point and see all that nutritional stuff available there for you. There is goo, there is water, there will be potatoes, muffins, bananas, biltong, and other goods there that you can refresh on. Just understand what it takes for the Munchie Point guys to get that stuff in there. They carry more than a ton of water down there by hand. There's no point in this trail that is accessible by vehicle, and everything that they get down there is by hand. But that is one of the highlights that you can look forward to on the Otter African Trail Run, is the halfway Munchie Point. For emergency, you need to obviously stabilize the patient, and you need to get our attention as soon as possible. We do have 2 emergency numbers, and it's very important that you have these pre-entered on your telephone, which is compulsory. 072 504 7537 is the one emergency number. The other emergency number is 074 991 0911. And it's important you have both these numbers on your phone just in case one of those numbers is out of reception at that point of time. We do struggle with reception, and you must move to get reception, to get our attention and tell us exactly where the assistance is required and what is the nature of the assistance required. Please make sure that your phone is waterproofed, because you will be fully submerged when you cross BLOUKRANS and the other rivers. Crossing the finish line has got to be one of the highlights of your event, if not your life. It is iconic, and this year we have something very special set up for the finish line. You will be receiving your medal at the finish line, unlike previous years where we have an award ceremony afterwards. So you may have noticed a change to the schedule. There is no formal awards ceremony dinner this year due to the pandemic. We simply cannot accommodate in a seated configuration the amount of people that we generally get attending that ever popular ceremony. However, we will be doing something really special. We're going to be showing the highlights video of the event in an open outdoor setting post dinner. So after you've had your cattle baron dinner, we invite you to return to the event hub, join us for a beer and the viewing of that video, and hopefully we'll be blessed with a lovely evening.